know what? What's going on, YouTube? This is BBSP. And I'm just gonna get right down to it. You know what I mean? As we all know by now, the Boston Celtics have swept the Brooklyn Nets out of the playoffs. 4-0. 4-0. Okay? And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I picked the Nets. And so I thought the Nets were gonna outlast them in 7 games. I thought because, even though Boston had a deeper team, I thought star power and the overall success of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant together, the 2 most skilled scorers of all time, we're going to overcome that shit, right? I'm thinking to myself, they got motivation from last year, talking about the Bucks. Only reason the Bucks won the series was because, because of injuries and the torn line incident or whatever, right? I'm thinking, they might be good enough to win in 1 round, and we'll see the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets in the 2nd round for the 2nd straight season, right? But after I saw that first game where the team defense for the Boston Celtics basically null and void. None of them made Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving null and void. Yeah, Kyrie had that more explosive game. He had an explosive game that first game. Yeah. He had that explosive game, first game, right? But end of the day, it all comes back to what I said about the Brooklyn Nets earlier, why I thought they were overrated, right? No defense, no coaching, no accountability, none of that shit, right? KD misses an assignment. He misses an assignment where Jason Tatum got loose and he got a layup. He got a layup. He got a straight up layup. No resistance, lack of defensive IQ on KD's part and shit, right? Lack of defensive IQ collectively too for the team and shit. That's probably one of the worst defense possessions I've seen in a while, man. One of the worst defensive positions, one of the worst defensive sequences I've seen, man. And I'm thinking, okay, Brooklyn's gonna win game 2, right? They up 17. I'm like, okay, it's where the series gets interesting, right? It's where the series, it's about to be tied 1-1, and we gonna have a 7-game series like I predicted. But not Kyrie Irving, the so-called most skilled point guard of all time, disappears in the 2nd game. Bricks after bricks. KD out here getting shut down, right? KD's out here getting shut down, and they keying their defense on this guy, on this dude. But Kyrie Irving talked all that shit. Now, I understand. I get. You know what I mean? Like I said, I supported Kyrie Irving in the whole vaccination shit. You shouldn't have to force to be taking a vaccine if you don't want to. At the end of the day, it should be your choice. All the extracurricular shit where he's painting himself out to be a victim. Nah, fuck that shit. Long story short, Kyrie Irving stuck up the joint in game 2 when they shut the Nets down in the 2nd half. And I'm saying to myself, especially KD, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, all those guys, even the short guards like Marcus Smart, right? Marcus Smart had his turns on KD, right? Shut him down. Completely took him out of his game. Completely took him out of his game, And this is why I say KD can run an offense. He's a scorer, okay? But he needs somebody to facilitate for him. Coming back to long story short. Long story short, right? Long story short. Long story short. After game 2, I said, yeah, these motherfuckers might be in trouble, man. You know, the game 3 comes around, and goddamn, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both stick up the joint. You know, like I don't know, man. Combination of lack of continuity, combination of lack of coaching, and a combination of the Nets are a shitty ass defensive team. All right, they shitty ass defensive team, man. I mean, you mean to tell me you can get not one stop on the Boston Celtics. You know, and after that game 3 happened, they went up 3 yards. Like, yeah, this shit it's a wrap. It's a wrap because when you out here not knowing what the hell you doing is Steve Nash. No kind of continuity or accountability when it comes to Kyrie Irving. You know, hey, Kevin Durant asked for this shit, right? Kevin Durant is the one that asked for this shit. He's the one that left Golden State and co-signed with Kyrie Irving. You know, so I'm not gonna give him a pass. I'm not gonna give him a pass as far as not showing up. You know, because that game 3 was probably the worst game he done had. Game 1, game 2, you gotta give credit to the Celtics D. But that game 3, nah. That game 3, that was all KD. All KD. KD came up short. Just the way it is. KD came up short in game 3. He didn't show up. Didn't even come close to showing up. You know? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. And bottom line is, Boston Celtics proved to be a better team. I'm not even going to the details of game 4 because we all know what happened with that shit. But you can't help but to think that this is like basketball karma coming back to bite the Brooklyn Nets in the ass again, because you got to think that in all this side behind the scenes shit to skip the process. At least with the Lakers, you know what I mean, with LeBron and AD or rather, or, they took time to gel. Kyrie out here taking shortcuts, doing shit behind the scenes like, going undermining Chris Paul and the players union, saying they shouldn't play in the bubble, taking 2 weeks off, sabbaticals and all that shit, and the whole vaccine shit did a number on the locker room, man. To the point where goddamn James Harden was like, man, if y'all ain't serious, man, I'm up out of here, man. I don't blame him. I don't blame James Harden. James Harden got his own demons as far as like playoff success and his career, but end of the day, I'm not gonna be part of this circus, because that's all the Brooklyn Nets war is, a circus. And Kyrie Irving is the main culprit, one of the main culprits of that shit. Plus the fact that you got a lame duck coach of Steve Nash, and you got a player in Kevin Durant who he's just not a leader, man. He's just not a leader at all. You know, that was demonstrated in OKC. Golden State didn't have to worry about that shit because that was Steph and Draymond. But you turn around and let Draymond run you out of Golden State, dude. And I'm saying, you let the media get in your head saying, you got to prove yourself. Like at the end of the day, you have to prove yourself. But I'm starting to think now that maybe it's possible that it was KD who benefited from going to Golden State instead of Golden State benefit from KD going there. You gotta think that now, man. And I'm not going to knock his legacy. I'm not going to say his legacy is tarnished. Because to be honest with you, I never had him on that level yet. I mean, to be honest with you, Kevin Durant is barely in my top 20 all time. As a matter of fact, Steph Curry is right outside of my top 20. You know, but as far as you know, I can't put Kevin Durant past Elgin Baylor, Moses Malone, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Julius Erving, and Keem Olajuwon, and that's even before he get into the top 10. That's before he get into the top 10. So for me, the only thing he could have done this year was sort of kind of elevate his stature, you know, as far as all-time greats. But it wasn't going to move that needle that much because his accomplishment is, for as great of a scorer as Kevin Durant is, his accomplishment is bare. And that's why I laugh at people who say him and LeBron are on the same level. You know, we got these parasites like Bill Simmons, Stephen A. Snitch, and that fake, Skip Bayless out here showing fake ass love when he was one of Kevin Durant's biggest critics. But all of a sudden, when he went to Golden State, all of a sudden he's the best player in the world. And he's a Kevin Durant fan. Gee, I wonder how that works. I'm wondering if Kevin Durant didn't go to Golden State, he would have got all that love and adulation. To be honest with you, Kevin Durant never had a claim for the best player in the world. The only time he came close was 2019. 2019 was the only time he came close. Only time he came close. And that was because LeBron was on the Lakers, he got injured, and Kawhi was proving himself. But ironically enough, that's the year he had that unfortunate Achilles situation. And then they kept him out for like a year and a half. You know, a year and a half to the point where the best player title was in flux. You know, that 1 year, 2019, it was Kawhi. Then after that, it was like influx where LeBron had a case for it in his latter years. Now it's Giannis. But the thing is, though, KD, for as great as he was in the finals, he had a great team, an all-time great team around him. Now, I'm not one of these guys to where I'm going to diminish his 2 rings. No, they count. They do count. But there is a such thing as rings. Some rings are more hold more weight than others. Some rings hold more weight than others. And, you know, as far as that goes, you got to start to wonder if Kevin Durant didn't go to Golden State, would he have won those 2 titles? You know? But like I said, I mean, his legacy to me is not tarnished because I never had him on that level. Never on the top 10. Like I said, he's barely top 20 of all time. You know? Now, had he had some type of success or got to the finals, maybe I would have moved him past people like Elgin Baylor and Julius Erving. But that was going to be it. Kevin Durant, in comparison to the guys in the top 10, you know, even though he scored a lot of points in the playoffs, a lot of points in the regular season, his accomplishments and his accolades are pretty bare in comparison to the people in the top 10 and shit, you know? And that's why I laugh at the notions that, you know, at one time, he was LeBron James's closest comp. But after 2016, there was a separation between him and Kevin Durant. After 2016, it was a separation between LeBron James and Kevin Durant. You know, and that's just, you know, no matter what Kevin Durant did in Golden State, he was never going to get the full amount of credit. And the reason LeBron gets full amount of credit for his 4 championships, yeah, he talking about he stacked the deck. Nah, the Miami Heat weren't the all-time great team that the Golden State Warriors were. See, Golden State won a championship before Kevin Durant got there. Yeah, Dwayne Wade won a championship before LeBron got to Miami, but I was like 5 years, like down before, 5 years before the Big Three came about. 5, 6 years before the Big Three came about. And even then, you had a Big Three in Miami. Without LeBron on that team, right? They don't win those championships because Dwayne Wade, for as great as he is, isn't an all-time great like Steph Curry. Steph Curry, at worst, is the fourth greatest point guard of all time. Dwayne Wade is around the fifth or sixth greatest shooting guard of all time. And that 2016 now Cavaliers, they don't look too much like a super team now with the way Kyrie Irving is played. And speaking of which, I'm going to say it right here. Kyrie Irving is the most overrated, overhyped player possibly in history. I've never seen one player live off one shot that happened 6 years ago, right? And now people act like he's this all-time great. People act like he's this all-time great. He's been this all-time great when in fact, outside of 2016 and then a couple years he played with LeBron, what has he really accomplished? What has he really accomplished? First 3 years in the league, he was a malcontent, getting into fights with Dion Waiters and Alonzo G. Even getting in fights with the coach. What do you call it? Byron Scott. When Byron Scott was the Cleveland Cavaliers coach way back when. Back in like 2011, 2012 to 2013. Byron Scott was the coach, getting into fights with him. LeBron comes back. He was an all-star. He was like a decent all-star, decent player on the level of Stephon Marbury. Stephon Marbury was an all-star. They don't make him all-time great. There's a lot of all-stars who were on championship teams, right? That don't mean they were all-time greats. Case in point, shit. What's a good example? At one time or another, Sam Cassell. Sam Cassell was an all-star a couple years. But you don't see him in the Hall of Fame. You don't see him in the Hall of Fame at all. You do not see this dude in the Hall of Fame. For as good as Sam Cassell is, you don't see this guy in the Hall of Fame. Kyrie Irving then demands a trade, goes to Boston, right? He gets hurt. This dude gets hurt. He gets hurt. They go to the Eastern Conference Finals without his ass. They go to the Eastern Conference Finals while he's hurt. Didn't even attend the Game 7. Next year, they get knocked out in 5 by the Milwaukee Bucks. But the common denominator is Kyrie Irving. They basically underachieved that season. Everybody picked them to get to the finals that year and play the Golden State Warriors. But they underachieved, and they get their ass scorched in 5 games by a young and green Milwaukee Bucks. Then Kyrie goes to Brooklyn. First year, he says, we need to trade all these guys because they're not good enough. Second year, going into it, he's acting all funny and strange, acting all he's above it all and shit, acting like he's better than his teammates, taking weeks off. And now we've come to this shit. I wonder how long are the parasites in the media going to talk about this thing, because if you want to ask me, the Brooklyn Nets should be a bigger disappointment than the LA Lakers. See, the Lakers, what was working against them was their age. Their age was working against them, and ultimately, that's what cost them, and plus other shit. Brooklyn Nets, right? Brooklyn Nets, they're the younger team. And you got 3.5 players in their prime. KD's in his prime. Kyrie is in his prime. And they were surrounded by a bunch of strong role players. Role players that were definitely better than the Lakers for sure. And they were the favorites to win the championship. So I wonder, how long we gonna hear about the Nets like we did the Lakers? They still talking about the Lakers and how much of a disappointment they were. I wonder if they're gonna be still talking about the Lakers in weeks' time, or they gonna put the Nets to sleep. They're gonna put the Nets to the side. So this is where this personal bias comes in. You don't get the same energy, get the same energy as something else. Never mind these clowns on YouTube with these fake outrage, making videos saying this Kevin Durant's legacy, blah, blah, blah. I know for one thing, if it was LeBron in this position, we would have 4 or 5 videos posted right now how LeBron James is not the GOAT. LeBron James is not top 5 all time. LeBron James is a quitter. All this bullshit. That's all I know. But nobody's going to, only for a certain period of time, they're going to hold the Brooklyn Nets their feet to the fire. And if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I would seriously think about kicking Kyrie's over his ass to the curb because he's more of a liability than an asset. He's a more liability than an asset, man. And, for me, the Brooklyn Nets would be better off once they get rid of Kyrie Irving and once they get a real coach up in that spot. Because, KD, we've seen, I think this is the first time this year that I can definitely say he done fell off. He just starting to catch up to Kevin Durant. Some of the stuff that he used to do, like, he would have like maybe 20 points at the end of the first quarter. Effortlessly, Kevin Durant would have. But now it's like you got to work for those 20 points. And by the time the fourth quarter comes, he's tired. And that Achilles injury kind of took away some of his athleticism too. Because he was going to, before the Achilles injury, he was going to the rim with reckless abandon. In OKC days, and his OKC days, and his early part of his Golden State Warriors tenure. Now it's like everything is jump shots. Occasional layup here and there, but everything is jump shots. So you got to think to add some years on to KD's remaining years in the league, you got to have more balance. Get a competent point guard in there instead of a flashy one who doesn't understand the concept of team ball like Kyrie, because that's all Kyrie is. Kyrie, he can't run an offense. He can't facilitate an offense. And all he does is score. He's not going to play defense. He's not going to find other players as far as like passing. None of that shit. So yeah, man, like the Brooklyn Nets, to me, are the biggest disappointment and the biggest failure this season because they were projected to win the championship. But nobody's gonna keep the same motherfucking energy any damn way. But I sure will. Brooklyn Nets are an embarrassment and a disappointment this year for a team that I thought at least was gonna get to the second round. They didn't even get to the second round. They got swept. But let me know what y'all think, and I'm gonna holler at y'all, later. Hit the like, subscribe. Remember to hit the like button. I'm gonna hit y'all up later.